store data for 3 years, but Germany said, okay, we're just going to do the bare minimum of 12 months. But it's up to the ISPs, and it might kill smaller ISPs that just have enough customers, so they have to comply to the laws, but they cannot afford to build a huge data warehouse to store all the data. So that might be really bad. And some of the resources, like the RFC I've mentioned before, it deals with all the so-called handover interfaces, like management, signaling, and then media and all sorts of stuff. And it has all the abbreviations that is used in, that are used in most papers, and especially Cisco stuff. Then you've got the Bundesnetzagentur website, which used to be the RecTP. It now has a really funny name. And I couldn't directly link to the slides, but if you go to the Bundesnetzagentur website, on the upper left side, there's a link to the voice over IP stuff. And they actually have statements from all ISPs, all the questionnaires that they got back with all the things. There are a few things marked out, but you can still read them. And it's easy. It's interesting to see what ISPs are actually doing right now and what they were doing like half a year ago in terms of signaling. And then this is my website. The slide's going to be up there sometime tonight. So yeah, just go there for the slides and probably more information. So any questions? Okay. You should probably get.
Is there an emerging standard regarding voice over IP encryption?
Okay, the question was if there's any standard on voice over IP encryption. Voice over IP is signaling and media, and signaling has to be really one standard, since if you're doing signaling within your own ISP, it might be easy, but if you're doing voice over IP peering, like peering between like WebDE, Freenet, Zipgate, all those companies, you have to agree on a standard, and there's TLS, but the downside on TLS is that it's just based on TCP. And you're just not able to keep all the file descriptors open, to keep all the TLS sessions for all your customers. If you're talking about 6 or 7 digit numbers of customers, it's not doable. But there's something called DTLS. I just came across this a few weeks ago. It's TLS for datagrams. So you can use TLS on a UDP-based setup. And what I'm going to look into, since I'm really interested in that, is how DTLS actually works, and if it's a feasible way to do TLS for customers. Since if you're using TCP, the call setup times would just increase. You have to do the TCP handshake, since you might have lost your TCP connection in the first place, and if you're trying to save file descriptors on the server side. And I think DTLS might actually be a way to do encryption on signaling side. And like SRTP could be good for media, but at every point where you're talking to like an IVR machine, your voicemail box, doing some sort of announcement, or going to a PSTN gateway, that particular box has to be able to decode the data, and has to have the like certificates, and has to have the CPU power to actually do everything. So one of the few reasons why ISPs are generally not doing encryption is just due to the CPU power. You can have like 500 parallel calls on a small Cisco box, but if you're talking about TLS and SRTP, it probably goes down to like 50 or 100 calls and just doesn't pay off. So there's a few interesting boxes that have TLS accelerator cards in there, and using Asterix, you might be able to do that faster, but it's not being done right now. And the moment somebody pops up with something that they can actually do the same amount of calls with encryption, we're going to have a look at that. So any other questions? Okay, then thanks for your time.